To follow along with the written version of this pattern and download the interactive PDF, use the links on screen now, in the description below, or by going to clubcrochet.com/lilypad. Hey there, it's Louie, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this awesome lily pad coaster that I'm so proud of. It's just so cool. Not only are we going to learn how to make the lily pad itself, but we'll also learn how to make a little flower with little magnets in it so you can actually attach it to your coaster when you're not using it for a cup. We'll also learn in the written pattern how to make little frogs to add to your lily pad as well if you want to have those on the side. The magnets work with the little frogs as well, so it's super cool. This pattern I'm really proud of. It is part of a series of patterns that I've made called Woolly Woods. It's a season of crochet tutorials that are all themed around woodland creatures and critters. So we're making things like little frogs, goblins, fireflies, pet rocks, a Bigfoot, pine cones. There's a whole bunch of patterns in it. You can find them all at clubcrochet.com/woods. But this pattern specifically, I'm really proud of because I actually designed it live on a live crochet along. So while you're watching this tutorial, you might be a little confused as we're going because I'm talking to the chat a little bit and we're going through different parts, and you'll see me actually asking the chat for votes for parts of it. So if you're confused, you could watch the full live crochet along where I designed this live. That is really fun, but I thought it'd be best to kind of put this together in a more detailed tutorial. So I hope that doesn't bother you too much, but if you do have questions throughout, please let me know in the comments and I'll get you as much help as I can in this video. But I really think you're going to enjoy this pattern. It's really cool. Speaking of, if you are a complete beginner and you never crocheted before in your life, I don't suggest starting with this just because we designed this live. So I didn't go through too much detail. I go through a pretty good amount of detail for stitches, like how to make the magic loop and how to do the single crochet. But if you are a complete beginner and you've never crocheted before in your life, I suggest starting with something a little bit more simple, like our pet rock that you can find. It's totally free on our website and YouTube channel, and this is designed to teach you how to crochet if you've never made anything before in your life. If you need extra help beyond that, there's a 101 series that I made you can find at crocheting101.com. That'll go through all the details on how to crochet for complete beginners. So that is my suggestion, is to start there if you've never made anything before in your life. If you need extra help for this pattern though, go ahead and comment down below. You can join the Discord channel and Facebook group that are linked in the description down below. Those are great places to ask questions and get extra help if you're stuck at any point. Links are in the description though. There's also a live crochet along that I do weekly. Like I said, I designed this in a live crochet along, but I do live crochet alongs every single week where I crochet something from our library. It's a great place to go to and ask questions. So if you get stuck at any part in this pattern, join a live crochet along and you can ask me live and I'll go through all the different parts that you might get stuck on. You can join those by just liking down below, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the little bell icon so you don't miss it when we come out with new videos. I also made a left-handed and right-handed version of this video, so you can watch the right-handed version or the left-handed version if you want. Check out links in the description for the opposite one than you're currently watching. There's also time codes to quickly jump around in this pattern, to jump to specific parts of this pattern. Those are going to be in the description and at the bar at the base of this video as well. Okay, the last thing I want to go over is all the materials that you might need to crochet this pattern. The first is the yarn. We're going to be using worsted weight yarn and 100% cotton. It's just my favorite kind of yarn to use, and we have our special Club Crochet Amigurumi cotton yarn from our new seasonal kits, or deluxe kits that you can find. There's a giant deluxe kit that makes everything you see on screen now with our special Amigurumi cotton yarn. Amigurumi cotton is just my favorite kind of yarn to use, but it is really good yarn to use for coasters and for hot pads, which this could also work as a hot pad if you made your lily pad even bigger, which I'll talk about how to make it bigger in this tutorial as well. So I suggest using cotton yarn like this. It just makes it a lot better, but you can use really any kind of yarn you want. The only thing I would say is if you're using larger yarn, like blanket yarn or something, you just need to use a different crochet hook for the yarn we're going to be using. For me, because I'm using worsted weight cotton yarn in this video, I'm going to be using a size G 4mm crochet hook. It's just the best kind of hook to use with cotton worsted weight yarn. But if you use a bigger blanket yarn, you might want a size I or J crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors for cutting stuff. You might need a darning needle to help sew in hard to reach stitches, but I will say this is all going to be made in one piece. You actually don't need a darning needle to sew it together. We're going to be crocheting it together in two pieces to make it magnetic. You also could make it less thick. You can make it half the thickness if you want to make more of the lily pads even quicker. Oh, and for the colors of yarn, we're going to be using green for our main color and then pink for the flower and then a little bit of yellow for the inside of the flower as well. Outside of that, the only other thing you might want for this pattern is you might want some super strong neodymium magnets. I use 3 of them in my tutorials, but I use these for the inside right here in the center so that there can be a magnet attached to it, which makes it so you can add the flowers or the frogs to be sitting on it. So if you want to get those magnets and you want to learn more about them, I'll put a link in the description, or you can hit me up on a live stream and I'll explain where I get those magnets. They're really useful for different crochet projects, but I really like it for this pattern specifically. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to go over. If you like this, again, please like and subscribe down below. You can share a picture with me. Oh my gosh, I would love to see a finished picture of these. So if you do make one of these and you would like to share a picture with me, you can find me at Club Crochet or at Louie's Loops. You can also email me directly, but yeah. Okay, I think that's everything I want to go over. Thank you so much for going through my rambling, and yeah, happy hooking. We're gonna start this pattern with a magic loop. If you don't know how to do the magic loop, I'm gonna show you a quick tutorial, but you don't really need this tutorial. I have a video that I'll link up here that goes through all the bits and bobs about how to make a magic loop. You want to have the yarn facing downwards towards the ground, pinch it with your middle finger and thumb, and then take this little tail end here and place it between your ring finger and pinky finger. And we're going to go around our index finger and middle finger 2 times. We want to create an X on the front towards you and 2 parallel lines on the back away from you. Then you take this end attached to the ball and you place it between your ring and pinky finger. And that's going to be the start of our magic loop. Now we're going to take our crochet hook, we'll go under this first bar and then hook onto the second one. Pull that second bar under the first one and then loop it around like that. It creates a little loop at the end of your crochet hook. Now you want to go over that first bar and hook onto the second one. I find it's easiest to kind of guide it over your finger with your, or guide the yarn over your hook with your finger. Then you want to pull that loop through the loop that you had on your hook to create a chain, and that should lock everything into place. All right. For round 1 of our lily pad coaster that I'm making from the top of my noggin, we're going to start by single crocheting 6 times into the magic loop. That's usually how I like to start my crochet projects, is I usually start with 6 single crochets into the magic loop. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this tutorial for how to do things like a single crochet. So if you want to learn how to make a single crochet, try a more simplified pattern like our pet rock pattern or our 101 tutorials you can find at crocheting101.com. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches in the magic loop. Let's get some yarn in an alternative color. Here, we'll use a little bit of this sage green, and we're going to use this as our stitch marker. I'm going to cut it relatively short, not like too short, but just short enough where we can use it to keep track of our stitches. And we're just going to place that right into the center of our magic loop, like that. And then we're going to take the tail end of the magic loop right here and just pull it nice and tight, and it'll tighten around that yarn. All right. We're just going to fold that over our piece, and that's going to help us keep track of where the ends of the rounds are. It'll just make our life a little bit easier later on. Okay, so we fold this over and continue on to round 2. Okay, so for round 2, I think this is how we're going to do this. We're going to start by connecting our piece with a slip stitch. So we're going to go into the very first stitch that we made right here. You want to make sure that you're under both of those loops like that. And we want to make a slip stitch. For a slip stitch, we're going to yarn over with the end attached to the ball and pull it through the stitch and then through the loop on the hook like that, and it's going to connect it together. And then we'll chain 1. So we're going to yarn over and pull through for a chain, and then I'm actually going to flip my piece around, which if you've been a fan of my channel a lot, you'll know that it's not normally how I do my crochet. I usually don't flip my pieces around like that. But for this pattern, I think it's going to be really helpful later on. We'll just hide this other green yarn in a little bit later too. All right, so for round 2, let's increase it up. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into every stitch that we made in our last round. We're actually going to skip that first slip stitch that we made right here. We're going to skip over that and start into the next one over. So we're going to go into that next stitch over right here, and we're going to do 2 single crochets into that same stitch. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2 for our first one, and 2 like that. And by doing an increase into every stitch around, you should increase up from 6 to 12 stitches around. And while I make those increases, let's say hi to the chat. Hello, live chat. Hello, 123 friends and Jama. How are you doing today? Hope you guys are having a great day. If you in the chat have any questions about what we're doing here or need any more clarity, please let me know in the chat. And then also, if you're watching this after the fact, let me know in the comments. All right, let me count my stitches. I'm going to count my stitches by, well, first off, let's go ahead and pull that stitch marker out just a bit more. I'm going to hide this end in just a moment. I'm going to count my stitches by counting back from where this loop is coming out of. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We only have 10. We should have 12. So we're going to do one more increase into this last stitch right there. Let's try that. 1 and 2. Okay, that's a pretty good start. All right, and that's going to be the end of round 2. Before I continue round 3, let's go ahead and hide this stitch in there and say hi to some more people in the chat. Hi, Martha. How you doing today? Hope you're having a great day. Shout out again to our live stream moderator, Cooper, who is helping keep the chat organized and adding links when we talk about certain stuff. Super duper appreciate that. All right, we're hiding this end. I'm just going into a few stitches here with my needle threaded with the tail end of our yarn, and I'm just gonna hide that end in. Normally I crochet around it, but it's kind of tough to do when you're turning your piece. So I think that's enough, and I'm just gonna cut it nice and close. Our goal here is to make this base part about maybe about that big, just big enough for the bottom of a cup. And then we're gonna create like a little division for the actual lily pad part after that. All right. Okay, let's continue on now to round 3 though. For round 3, I'm gonna connect to my first single crochet that we made in our last round right here with a slip stitch. So just like we did kind of in round 1, just connect with the slip stitch, and then we're gonna chain 1, and we're gonna turn our piece around. We'll skip the chain and the slip stitch and start into the next stitch right here, and we're gonna do the following repeat. We'll do 1 single crochet into our first stitch, like that. Oops, I should have probably pulled my stitch marker up too, but I didn't really do that. Let me do that real quick too. Okay, so we connect with the slip stitch. You know what, I'll connect the slip stitch over our, there we go. So we pull our stitch marker up, then we'll connect with the slip stitch. Okay, boom, like that. That's pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna chain 1 and turn. We're gonna skip the chain and the slip stitch, and we're gonna start into our base. It looks like our 3rd stitch from the hook if you look at those V's. So right here. And we're gonna start by doing 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then we'll do an increase into the next stitch. So 1 in the first, and then 2 single crochets into the next one right here. 1 and 2. And then I'll just keep doing that repeat all the way around. 1 single crochet in the first, 2 single crochets in the next for an increase. 1 and 2. And this should bring our stitch count up from 12 to 18 stitches around. The chat is nice and quiet right now, which is pretty surprising. Probably because I'm doing a tutorial and they think that it's going to distract me, but I can do multiple things at once. Well, sometimes. I can't pat my head and rub my belly. I can rub my belly and pat, wait, no. I can pat my belly and rub my head, but I can't do it the other way around. It's just impossible. I don't know how anybody does it. All right, we're just about at the end of this round right here. And let's give this a cup check before we continue on. How much longer do we need to crochet till we get to about the bottom of our circle here? So it looks like we want to increase at least 1 or 2 more rounds up. So let's go ahead and do that. So that'll be the end of round 3. Let's pull our stitch marker up right here, and we'll continue on to round 4. For round 4, we're going to connect with the slip stitch into our first stitch right here. So our very first single crochet we made, we'll connect with the slip stitch, we'll turn our piece, and then we'll chain 1. All right, for round 4, let's do 2 single crochets and then an increase. We're going to skip the chain and the slip stitch, starting our first stitch right there. And we're going to do 2 single crochets in a row. So there's 1 and 2 like that, and then an increase into the 3rd stitch. 1 and 2. And then we'll just keep repeating that all the way till we get to the end of the round. So that's going to be increasing our stitches up from 18 up to 24 stitches around. Beta says that they're going to sleep because it's almost 1 a.m. where they're at. Well, sweet dreams. Hope you have... this is what I always tell my wife. I say, sweet dreams and dream sweetly. Hope you have a great night. All right, we'll continue around. 1, 2, and then increase up. And like I said, this should bring us up to 24 stitches by the end of this round. And I think we're almost just at how big we want this coaster to be. You know what? Yeah, I think this is as big as we're going to want our coaster to be. I know it won't fit the very bottom of our cup fully, but we're going to make it bigger by adding the cutout of the coaster itself. So maybe that's going to be okay. I think that's a good size for the center of our lily pad. What do we think, chat? I think that's a good size. Let's look at the cup. Cup check. So if we make this the center, and then we just start separating from there, we'll have a little sliver where the cup isn't covered by it, but I think it should sit up just fine. And this way it'll look more like a lily pad too. So let's go ahead and we're gonna start our division part now, and which means that we're actually kind of done with this stitch marker. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull our stitch marker completely out. We don't need it anymore. And continue on. If you want to make this bigger and bigger, you totally can. All you need to do is slip stitch that first stitch and do the exact same technique, but add an additional single crochet between increases for each round. That way it'll get bigger and bigger. So however big you want the base of your lily pad to be, you want to just keep doing that connection method. Now we're gonna start doing like basically a little cutout. So it kind of looks like a pie with a cutout of it. To do that, we're going to chain 1. This is going to be round 5 of our lily pad. We're going to chain 1, turn our piece around, and we're going to start in the first stitch that we made. So right after the chain, the very first single crochet that we made. And we're going to do the same kind of repeat, but this time we're not going to slip stitch together to connect. So we're going to do 1, 2, we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3 single crochets. And then we'll do an increase into the next one right here. So 2 in the same stitch, like that. And then I'm just gonna keep repeating that all the way around until we get to the end of our round. So that's 3 single crochets and then an increase repeated 6 times total. So 1, 2, 3, increase. Let's do another one. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. This music is getting wild. It was like, the playlist is like, this is a really chill, relaxing video game music. And then it was like, actually, we're gonna get chaotic for you. That's all right though. All right, so we're just gonna keep doing this repeat around, 3 single crochets and then an increase. We are crocheting, the chat wants to know what we're making right now. Wosu, we are crocheting a lily pad coaster. Yeah, we're actually designing it live on camera too. So if this doesn't go right, it's not my fault. All right. Last repeat here. 1, 2, and 3, and then an increase up. You should have, I believe, 30 stitches around now, by the way, if you want to count your stitches. You should have 30 stitches around. And already that's giving a little bit of a lily pad look. But let's keep that increase coming bigger and bigger. So next, we're going to chain 1, turn our piece, and continue on to round 6. Round 6, we're just going to keep that repeat going. We're going to skip the chain and start into our first stitch that we made, and we're going to do 4 single crochets now, and then an increase. And now you're really starting to see what the repeat is. It's just continuously getting this bigger and bigger, with the sliver getting bigger and bigger. And then by the end, we're going to connect these two together. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. Or sorry, not connected together, but surround the entire piece with slip stitches to like clean up what the edges are. So again, that's 4 single crochets and then an increase, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And just keep repeating down. Oh, Callie says, slow down, we're not there yet. Sorry. I will go a little bit slower. But let me know if you got lost at any point there, and I can help you out, Callie. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our increase right here. 1 and 2. And you know what? That cup check is going to look pretty close to the size of the cup, I think, after this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our increase right here. 1 and 2. And I think we might end up doing a second one of these to sew it together with. I don't think you have to, but I think it might be a fun little thing to try out. We might try it out. Let's see. Okay, so you see how it's starting to divide into two different pieces here? That's exactly what we want. We want this to be splitting like that, and it's creating more and a bigger and bigger slice out of the lily pad itself. So you see how it's starting to get that lily pad look. All right, let's look at it on our cup. How we doing? Hey, look at that. That's about the size of the cup. That's pretty good. We want it a little bit bigger than that though. So let's go ahead and make it just a little bit bigger. Maybe 1 or maybe 2 rounds. Well, we got to start somewhere. Let's start with 1. So we're going to do that same repeat. We'll turn our piece around. We're on round, I think that was round 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was round 6? Wait. Yes. Yes, I believe. That's round 1. Or round 1 is down here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so we're on round 7. So for round 7, we want to turn and chain 1. Skip our chain, and we're just going to do that repeat with 1 additional stitch in between. So this time I think we're doing 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then our increase into the next right here. So 2 in the same stitch. And then we'll just keep doing that repeat all the way around. Hello, chat. Hey, Lily, how you doing? How's your day been? 4 and 5 single crochets and then an increase. Hello, Nicole. Nicole's in the chat. Hi, Nicole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our increase. I've been using this crochet hook for so long now, like legitimately years, and every day I use it. And I'm at the point now where the glue that holds the handle down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has kind of eroded. And so the crochet hook keeps slipping out of the handle. And every now and then you might see me like take my hands out like this. You can kind of see it. See how look how long this crochet hook looks right now. Watch. I'm gonna pull it out, and then what I do is I stick it against a wall and I poke it back in like this. Boink. And now look how long it is. I have to do that all the time now because I'm too lazy to glue my crochet hook back together. And I've worn it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our increase right here. Okay. So my theory is if we make 2 of these lily pads and then crochet them together, we can also put things in the lily pad itself. So we can put little like magnets in there so that our crocheted frogs can kind of sit on it too. I just think it might be a cute little addition. But let's see, how far are we now? It's looking pretty good. I think we can do maybe 1 more round. It might be a little big for a coaster. Actually, you know what? I think 1 more round isn't too big for a coaster. I think it's just the right size, actually. Yeah, I think so. Right? It's looking like a lily pad for sure. But I think it might. Let's go another round up. So we're gonna do 1 more round here. That was round 7. We're on round 8. We're gonna turn, chain 1. And we're gonna do our repeat again, but make it 1 more single crochet between increases. So last round we did 5 single crochets and then an increase. This round we're gonna do 6 single crochets and then an increase, which will bring your stitch count up to, what's 6 times 8? Hold on, I can math. Okay, so it turns out I can't math while I crochet. That's a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our increase right here. There we go. All right, so 6, that's 42. Am I right, chat? I think it's 42. Or is that 48? Actually, maybe it's 48. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochets, and then an increase. I think it is 48. Yeah, it is 48. 2, 3, 4. Am I wrong, Callie? Callie thinks it's 42 also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oopsies, 6 single crochets between increases. Like that. Let's count our stitches real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Oh no, see, I did that wrong again. There we go. 24. Yeah, it is 48. Okay, there we go. Back on track. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, and then our increase. Louisa, hello, Louisa. How are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, oh my gosh. I keep losing track of my count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then our increase right here. 7, 8. All right. So we're just about done, I think, with our last maybe round here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and our increase. Actually, this is our increase. Yes. All right, last repeat, 6 single crochets, then increase, and we should be at 48 stitches around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then our increase right here. Okay, let's see our piece. Do we like this for the size of our coaster? I think that's pretty good. We could make it bigger and bigger now if we wanted to. We could go more and more of this stitches. But let's see how it looks with our cup. Cup check. Hey, that's a good size for a coaster, I think. And honestly, it already kind of finishes as a coaster, but I have an idea. Now I'm just, oh my gosh, look at what a great timing we are done with our round. We are out of green yarn, so that's great. Here's what we're gonna do. We are going to, we'll go ahead and cut the yarn. This is only if you wanna make a bigger one. A double thickness. So I'm gonna create a second one of these and we're gonna crochet them actually together. But before we do that, we need to finish this one up. So I'm going to cut the yarn here and just pull it all the way through. Now, you don't really need to do this part if you don't want to. You could just continue on and do our border round to finish this up. But I think it'd be really fun to connect this with 2 pieces, so 2 of the same lily pads together, so that it has a thickness to it. And then we can put little magnets in the lily pad itself, which we can use for little frogs, because I put little magnets in the bottom of my frogs, so we can have our frogs sitting on the lily pad and they'll stay there. And then maybe we can also create a little flower or something that can go magnetically on it. I just think it'd be a really fun, cute, unique idea for a coaster. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna make a second one of these, but to do that, I need to find some more green yarn. So 1 second, you know what? Actually, I think it's time to open a new ball of green yarn. Let's do it. I'm almost out of this, actually. But here we go, new ball of green yarn. Just a little fact you might not know about. When you finish a ball of club crochet, or when you start a new ball of club crochet yarn, it makes this wonderful sound when you take the the label off. It goes like this, watch. Isn't that beautiful? Wow, that just happens naturally too. It's crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a second one of these lily pads in the exact same way. And if you're watching the tutorial, I'll be back in just a sec. If you're watching the live stream, well, hi live stream. We are, by the way, chat, again, we are voting on what we want to make for our next customized frog. Okay. All right, so now we've completed our second lily pad, and now we want to connect these two lily pads together by slip stitching them together. So what we can do is we're going to take our crochet hook, we're going to go into the base of where that last stitch was made, right there, and then line it up with our other lily pad. We're going to go into the same exact stitch on the opposite lily pad right here, and then we can just yarn over and pull a loop through. We're going to try to leave this tail end on the outside. We're going to yarn over, pull a loop through the, with attached to the ball, through the stitches, through both of these ends at the same time. I kind of got that yarn split. Let me try this again. There we go. 1, and then 2 like that, and then through the loop on the hook. We're creating a slip stitch. We're just going to keep doing that all the way down to the bottom connection point and then back up, and then we're going to do that all the way across the outside too. So we're going to go into the next stitch right here, just somewhere along the edge, and what's important is you want to match it on the opposite side as well. So you want to make sure both lily pads are being slip stitched together through the same spots. That's pretty good. Next stitch, we're going to go at the base of this stitch here, and then same place on the opposite lily pad right there, and then just yarn over, pull through, and pull through. And you see how it's going to make this nice little edge and connect these two together. It'll give us a thicker lily pad. So we're going to do this on the second one. That. And then the next one's going to be right at the base right here, and we'll match it on this other side. Pull through like that. Now we're going to work back up the lily pad. So that worked down our sliver. Now we want to work up our sliver to connect that part, and then we're going to work all the way around our edge. Our next one's going to be right. Let's go with like right here, just somewhere on the edge. Again, what's important is that it matches the opposite side, which looks like about right there. And let's go ahead and try that one. It's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then we'll go up to the next one right there. And that would be right there. Is that correct? Hold on, let's look at it on our piece again. So that'll be right there. And then on the opposite side would be right here. Got it. So again, you just want to make sure that everything matches so that it goes around evenly as we work our way back up the lily pad. 1, 2, 3. And we're just about at the top. Nice. We're going to go into the very top stitch right here. Actually we'll work into like, let's work into that top chain. So see how there's this loop right here? We're going to work into that loop and then into the loop on the opposite side too. Right there. And that way it's at the very tip of our lily pad, and it might hopefully create more of a corner as we work around the other side. All right, we probably want to hide this end in, but we can do that in a little bit. So now what we want to do is we're just going to start working all the way around. I'm going to get about halfway through, slip stitching all of these connecting pieces, and then we're going to add our little magnets on the inside of our lily pad before we complete crocheting them together. Sound good? I think that sounds pretty good to me. I think that sounds pretty good to me. All right, just keep going around. 1, 2, and then this stitch is higher. Hey, that's looking pretty good so far. Look at that. It's like a nice big old patty. I want to eat it. Okay, before I continue too much further, so we still have a lot more to slip stitch together, but before I do that, I want to do 2 things. First, I'm going to hide this tail end in. Second, we're going to add our little magnets in. So let's start by hiding our tail end. I'm just going to thread this onto a needle, and then I'm just going to try hiding it into the back of a few stitches. So not too complicated. We're just going to go into right here, like this. And then I'm just gonna go work our way back into a few stitches just like that. And we'll have it come out on the inside because that's where it'll be hidden best. And let's see how that goes. Yeah, that's good. That's nice. All right, that should be enough. And we'll just go ahead and cut that nice and close. Okay, so that's the hidden part. Next, we want to add magnets. So I need a bunch of mini magnets now. And I like using these neodymium magnets. I'm personally, if you're looking for the same magnets as me, I'm using 12 millimeter by 2 millimeter magnets. Woo, and they are very strong, as you can tell. Okay, so I think we need probably 2 magnets on the inside. Let's try it though. Let's see. First, we want to make sure its polarity works with our example frog here. So we're going to go like this. We'll put them in there. And that should be enough. Oh yeah, that's enough to hold the frog. Perfect. Okay, so where do we want our magnets? Here, we'll go ahead and we're going to use these mini magnets to hold our magnets in place. And this way we can also kind of move them around on the inside, which we'll be able to do later as well, I think. Let's say like right there. I just don't want it to be a big clump when we put our cup down. So maybe we actually just want 1 magnet or no magnets. Let's see. Let's try just 1 magnet instead. Let's see how that looks. The question is, will it be lumpy when we have our coaster on it? Let's try. Or I mean our cup on it. Yeah, that looks good. I don't think that's going to get in the way. And I think that probably is enough. Yeah, that just keeps our frog where it's supposed to be, you know? Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're just going to do 1 magnet in it then. And I'm just going to use this top of this magnet to know where our magnets are supposed to be. And this way, it won't get lost on the inside. We'll do 1 more over here. I'm going to try to keep these magnets a little bit separated from each other because I do not want them to connect to each other. Oopsies, we broke our magnet. We broke a little mini magnet. That's okay. We can use that for a project later. All right, so I'm just going to move this magnet over more so that it's more like over here and away from our opposite magnet. We'll just connect those 2 together. All right, and we're just going to leave these magnets on there as I finish up my piece, and that way those mini magnets on the inside ain't got nowhere to go. All right, so now I'll finish up the slip stitches. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, and then I'm out the door. 5, 6. We got to pick up those sticks. We can't forget about that. And then 7, 8. What is 7, 8? I don't remember. Don't forget that you got to 8. You got to 8. It's your fate. 9, 10. You got to do it all again. All right, we're coming to the end of our lily pads here. Just about done. And do we want to do 1 more? Yeah, I think we need to so that that last bit is stitched together. So we're going to go into that last stitch here, into the corner, and we'll slip stitch for our last one right there. And now what we want to do is we want to hide this end in. We're just going to cut the yarn. You don't need a very long end. This is just for hiding. And then we'll just pull it all the way through. And then we're going to hide this end into the edge of one of these other stitches. Once I find the needle that I felt fall on the floor. There it is. All right, we'll thread this onto our needle. And then this is how I like to hide stitches, or hide our last stitch. I go into the back of the next stitch over. So like right there, like that. And then back in through where this end is coming out. So see where that's coming out? We want to go back into that same place. Like that. And then we'll pull it a little tighter. And then I just try to find some stitches to hide it in on the back. So I'm just like feeling my way on the inside, trying to make sure my needle is hidden in the back of a few stitches. And then I'm going to come out somewhere on the back of our piece. And we're going to pull it just tight enough to mimic the edge of those slip stitches. So like that. So that's the whole point here, is we want to make sure it's hidden. I think that's pretty good, honestly. Okay. Go ahead and cut these nice and short. And voila. We have got our our lily pad coaster. Nice thick coaster too, with special magnets in there to hold on to our little frogs. You can see he's finding his way to the little spots. Now, what we want to still do is, obviously we got our little mini frog that we have on this, but I think I'd like to also make a little flower. So we'll come back in a little bit and we'll crochet a little lily pad flower to go onto our lily pad. Maybe we should make those magnets go more in the center. Let's actually try to do that really quick. So I'm going to try to get one of these magnets closer to the center. Yeah, about like right there. And then we're going to also get that other magnet, which is right here. And I'm going to try to move that one more further away. That's probably good. Okay. So now both the frog can sit on it like that, and then our flower that we end up making can go right in the center as well. Okay, so we've crocheted our little frog. The chat is currently voting on the name of our little chef frog, which is adorable. And we also made him a little souffle that he made because he's cute, and that's just the way he is. Now we're going to try to make a little flower to go on top of our lily pad, and I'm just gonna customize this going off the cuff. I'm going to start with a magic loop, and I'm going to start by single crocheting 6 times into the magic loop. So pretty easy start. 6 single crochets into our magic loop to get going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll pull that nice and tight. Okay. Next, we're going to work only in the back loop. So we're going to work into the loop furthest away from us right here. And we're going to do an increase. Yeah, we'll do an increase into, you know what? No, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first and then an increase into the next, repeated 3 times to go up from 6 stitches to 9 stitches. So we'll go into the first one here, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first. I'm going to work around my tail end as I do that. Just make sure to work only in that back loop. So we got 1 single crochet in the first, and then we'll do an increase in the next, 1 and 2 like that. And then we're going to do that 2 more times. 1 single crochet in the first, and then increase into the next, 1 and 2. And then our last one, we'll do 1 single crochet in the first, and then our increase into the next, 1 and 2. Okay, yeah, I like that. Next up, we're going to do another round of increasing. This time we're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase repeated 3 times around, still working only in that back loop. So in the back loop furthest away from us, we're doing 1 and 2 single crochets and then our increase. So 2 in the same stitch for the next stitch, 1 and 2 like that. So 2 single crochets, 1 increase repeated 3 times total, 1, 2, and then our other increase right here, 1, 2, and then last one, 1, 2, and then our final increase right here, 1 and 2. All right. I think I like this. I like where we're going with that. Okay, next up, let's see, is this big enough for a flower? I think it is. All right, so next up, we're gonna work into the back loop of the next stitch here and do a slip stitch. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna chain 1 and turn our piece around, and we're gonna work only in the furthest loop from us. So the one furthest away from us right here, we're gonna create our petals all the way around. We'll be doing the following repeat. We're gonna start by doing a half double crochet in the next, working only in the furthest stitch right there. So 1 half double crochet. Then we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and pull that chain really tight like that. That's what's going to create our point. You just pull that chain, those 2 chains tight. Then we're going to do 1 more half double crochet in the same stitch we just worked into right here. like that. Okay, and then we'll slip stitch into the next stitch right here. Nice. All right, and we're just going to repeat that process all the way around. We're going to chain 1, half double crochet 1 into the next stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, pull tight, half double crochet 1 more into the same stitch, like that, and then slip stitch into the next stitch over right there. And this is going to create these little petals that will go all the way around. And we're going to do that at least for this first round. We might make smaller petals as we get closer to the top though. But let's just keep doing this around for right now and see how it turns out. Chain 2, pull tight, we'll half double crochet 1 in the same, and then slip stitch 1 into the next. Chain 1, half double crochet, chain 2, pull tight, half double crochet in the same stitch, slip stitch into the next. Okay, chain 1, double, chain 2, pull tight, half double in the same stitch, and then slip stitch in the next. Okay, and see, that's creating this little first line of flowers. We're going to do that again in the next round. One, chain 2, pull tight, half double in the same stitch, slip stitch into the next one right here. All right. Okay, so there's going to be the end of that first round of that. Let's keep doing that. We're going to do that for one more round around the exact same technique. So again, that's chain 1. And then now we're working into these ones up the edge here. We do a half double crochet 1, chain 2, pull tight, half double in the same stitch. Like that. And then slip stitch into the next one over right here. Okay, and see, that's creating a second layer of our petals around. Chain 1, next stitch right here, and then chain 2, pull tight in the same stitch, half double, and then slip stitch into the next one right here. All right, yeah, I like how that's coming together. All right, chain 2, tight, half double in the same stitch. Okay, and then we'll slip stitch 1. Okay, we got a few more stitches to do this with. Chain 1, half double here. Okay, so we're gonna make just a couple more of these petals, and then we're gonna make these petals a little bit smaller for our last round. The last slip stitch there. Let's see how our bits coming together there. All right, I think we can do, yeah, okay, so now we're gonna change it up and make our petals slightly smaller. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 petals of these larger petals. Now we're gonna make our petals slightly smaller as we get closer to the center. So now we're going to still chain 1, but this time we're gonna do a single crochet. So we'll do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, still working in those unused back loops. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chain 2, pull that tight, and then single crochet in the same stitch again. Okay, so there you go, like that. And then slip stitch into the front loop of the next stitch right here. And now we'll continue doing that all the way around. So chain 1, single crochet 1, chain 2, pull tight, single crochet in the same stitch. Slip stitch 1 into the next. Okay, we're coming to the end there. That's looking like a nice lily pad flower, I think. Let's keep going. Chain 1, and next stitch right here. We're going all the way to the end. 1, chain 2 and pull tight, and then single crochet in the same stitch. Slip stitch into the next one right here. And then our final one, chain 1, single crochet 2, or single crochet 1, chain 2, and then single crochet in the same stitch. And then slip stitch into our final front loop only right here, like that. All right, now we're gonna cut the yarn. You don't need a very long end, I don't think. Pull that all the way through. And I'm just gonna stuff that center back down into the piece a little bit more. And we're gonna pull up all of our petals like that a little bit. And then let's hide this end in, and then we're gonna add just some yellow fray on the inside for more of like the center of the flower. So let's go ahead and take our needle here. And we don't need to get too crazy with this end. We're just gonna pull this straight into the same stitch right here, right on the inside, like that. And then we'll just double knot it to this other end and cut both of these close. Just 1 and 2 like that. We'll cut that nice and close there. Okay, now we want to add just some yellow on the inside here to create like the inside of the flower. So what we'll do with that is we're going to take some of your yellow yarn here, and I'm going to start by actually creating a slip knot. So I'm going to take my loop around the end and create a little knot on itself like this. And we'll cut the yarn. You don't need a very long end, I don't think. That's probably going to be fine. And we're just going to pull this part through the very center of our slip knot, and then pull that nice and tight like that. And that's just going to create this little knot, which should be too big to go out of the center. So that's our goal here, is we want to make sure that it can't come through the very center of our piece. I think that's probably good. And I'll thread both of these ends on our needle. Here, I'll cut this one closer to match the other one, so it's a little easier to thread on our needle. Just gonna thread that. And I'm going to go straight through the very center of the inside of our flower and out through the top like that. And it shouldn't pull out because of that knot. And now we can cut these closer. I'm going to cut it just a little bit closer to the center. So like right here is fine. There's 1. Let's do another one right there. 2. And I'm going to do that a couple more times so that we have a decent amount of little bits coming out of the inside. I think 3 of these should be enough. That. All right. And now we're going to thread all these on our needle. Beautiful. Through the center, the same stitch. Okay. And we'll cut these ones the same length. Should we do one more? Yeah, let's do one more. Okay. Pull that through itself. Create a knot. I'm so proud that this is working out. I think this is very cool. And then down through that center one more time. Like that. Okay, now we're going to cut these shorter. And then let's thread these inside bits. So we're going to take our needle here and we're going to split the yarn a little bit. So I'm going to go right in the center of the yarn and just kind of split it into little tinier parts, which kind of like frays the ends a little bit and makes it look like there's even more of these little bits of the center of the flower coming out. And then we're going to cut these a little shorter. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Stuff that back on the inside there. And now I think what we can do is I just want to cut the outside ones so that it's a little smaller on the outside than it is on the inside of this yellow parts. So I'm just giving it a little bit of a trim on the insides. Okay. All right, so that's going to be the basis of crocheting our little lily pad flower. You can see how that's going to look on there. Honestly, seriously, pretty good for a improvised pattern there. But there's one little part of this that I don't like. And I mean, we could sew this onto the lily pad just straight up like that. And I think that would be really, really cute. How many small petals did we make? Asks Cooper in the chat. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 9, 10. We did 1, 2, 3, only 4 little petals. So we could just sew this directly onto the lily pad like that. But I think what would be really nice is if we could close this in and add our little mini magnets to this lily pad, then we can, or to the flower, then we can take the flower on and off like how we want. So we're going to take our crochet hook here, and I'm going to pull a pink loop through one of our first end right here. And then we're going to do a decrease. Let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so this is going to be our first stitch. All right, so let's grab some pink yarn. And we're going to do something called a sharp decrease here. We're going to pull a loop through that stitch and create a chain like this. Pull it nice and tight there. And we're going to do a sharp decrease in the next 6 stitches in a row. So we're going to pull a loop through the next stitch right here. And we're going to yarn over, pull a loop through that. And then we're going to go into the next stitch over right here. Pull a second loop through and take that second loop and pull it through the first 2 like that. And we're going to do that for every single stitch all the way around. So let's do another one right here. We want next stitch over, pull a loop through. And don't worry about this little tail end. We're just going to hide that on the inside. We'll use it as stuffing. There we go. Pull a loop through, and then the next stitch right here, pulling a second loop through, pull it through the 2 loops on the hook. There's 2 decreases. We want 6 of these. There's 3. And 4. And then here is 5. Like that. And then our last one's going to be right here. 1. And see there's like a little loop right there into that one. And that'll be our 6th decrease around. And now we're just going to cut the yarn. We don't need a very long end. This is just going to be for sewing it closed, and pull it all the way through. Now we'll add our little mini magnets in there. We're going to do 3 mini magnets, and I want to make sure that the polarity of these magnets matches the inside. So that means this is going to be the top of our magnet. We're going to keep track of that, place it right in the top of that, just like this. Nice. Okay, and then we're just going to sew. You know what? Let's just do 2 magnets. I don't think we need all 3. I think we can get away with just 2. It'll sit a little flatter then too. And now we're just going to sew this closed. So we're going to thread this on our needle. And we'll go through the front loops only of all the decreases that you made. So we're going to start right here. We'll go 1. 2. 3, 4, 5, and then last one right here, 6. We'll pull this nice and tight to close that up. And then let's hide it back on the inside and then out somewhere on the front of our lily or our flower. Pull that so it's as, I really want this as flat as I can make it. And then we'll cut this nice and short. Okay, now let's fix our flower up a bit. I'm gonna stuff the inside one in a little bit, make those, all the petals kind of sticking upwards. And then we're gonna fix this little inside bit a little bit too. So just to make it a little cleaner. That looks pretty good. And then we'll place it on our lily pad. Moment of truth. Oh, wow, that's cool. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm so glad that worked. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That looks really good, I think. Wow. I'm really proud of that. And then we could move it to the other one. Oh no, the other one, the magnetic polarity of the other one is actually backwards. So then our frog can sit here. Sit backwards like that too. And there we go. We have a little lily pad coaster with removable flower and frog. And it should fit, where is our cup? Here it is. Should fit. Oh, that's great. Isn't that great? Wow. I love it. Oh my gosh. That actually totally worked. I'm so proud of that. That is so cool. And that just sits there, and look, you can see it doesn't come off. Same as the frog. They sit there and they don't come off. I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, last thing we want to do now is we want to see what the chat voted on for our frog, our chef frog with his little souffle. What did we name our frog? We'll end the vote. And the winning name is Aunt Toady Bourdain. It's perfect. And he's also got a little magnet in it, so we can actually replace him like that. He can sit on this flower too with his little souffle. Put that frog there too. Oh, that's so cute. Look at, they're like sitting over the table for food. I love it. That's so cool. I'm so proud of that. That is so cool that I just did that on, like, live. That's so cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for crocheting this pattern along with me. I really hope you enjoyed making this as much as I enjoyed designing it. And I have to say, doing a live design along for something like this was so fun. Oh my gosh, I enjoyed it so much. So if you did like how this was made, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you thought. Or if you get stuck at any point, obviously let me know in the comments and I will do my best to help out. But I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want more of our Woolly Woods themed patterns like our Bigfoot Bobby here or our gnome homes with little gnomes that go in them, you can find them all at clubcrochet.com/woods. Thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and yeah, share a picture with me. Pasta la pizza, happy hooking, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.